So there was a article today on The Athletic by Matt Baker where they asked the question, how many different college football teams could have won a national title with Nick Saban as their coach?
Excellent summer topic.
And, of course, there's always a lot of opinion, but he does try to, the writer, Matt Baker, does try to put some numbers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little science to it.
A little wang in it.
So
maybe
different factors were used. One was on-field success, looking at kind of the level of the team and where they rank in the nation. Like, for example, is it conceivable that Nick Saban could have led Kent State to a national championship?
No.
Probably not. So you have to start with some kind of baseline of success, right? And so what they did was they looked at a couple of power rankings, the simple rating system and the ESPN Football Power Index. And they first looked at what Alabama was before Nick Saban and then what they became after Nick Saban. And they used the difference between those as what they identify as the Saban effect.
Like this. So before Saban, 2005 and 2006, Alabama's FPI average was 11.6. From 2010, or during the 10 to 13 peak, the Crimson Tide's average FPI was 29.
Did his mic just go weird?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I'm happy that it wasn't just in my headphones.
It started doing that yesterday, but I thought it might have been my headphones because you guys didn't notice
it sounds like I'm underwater.
It does.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, it did that to me yesterday. I just figured it was in my headphones.
It doesn't help that I was waterboarding him during the break. But
so
anyway.
The Saban effect for that was 17.4.
And so they use this to also identify which programs meet a baseline criteria, showing that, hey, with this Saban effect, they would be at a level commensurate with a national champion. With that said, they've whittled down the 133 teams in Division 1A football down to 63.
That was the first step.
That was the first step
of a 6-step process. Yeah.
And yes, Nebraska made the cut.
Yeah, teams that missed it. Let's see. Wake Forest, Illinois, Maryland, Purdue, Syracuse, etc.
Yeah, so there are a few power conference schools that are in there. Virginia, Vanderbilt, Purdue. You mentioned Purdue, Illinois.
Yeah.
The next thing was recruiting average.
Important.
And again, they look at Alabama's rankings pre-Saban to after Saban, use that to create the effect.
Yep.
Then they look at, by the way, did you know that the Alabama recruiting, the 5 years before Saban, their average star ranking was 3.1. With Saban, it was 4.1.
Their average class ranking before Saban, 24.6. Average class ranking with Saban, 1.9. Incredible.
So again, they looked at that and they decided that it eliminated 10 more teams, of which Indiana was one.
Boise State
was one. BYU. They were all eliminated.
Cincinnati.
Then they looked at number of 5-star signings.
This was you had to have at least one.
Yeah. And
wouldn't you know it?
Thanks, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska made the cut.
Yes.
But Iowa State, Kansas, Minnesota, Northwestern, Baylor, Georgia Tech all missed out. So now we're down to 47 teams. Then they look at money. They look at what are you spending on football? Are you spending enough on football?
Yeah.
This step only eliminated 4 programs, the Rutgers, Oregon State, Cal, and BC. So Nebraska, still alive.
Yeah, because honestly, once you get to this level of, if you can do all the other stuff, you're usually going to be okay at money as well. Yeah.
This was the one I thought that would knock Nebraska out.
Me too. Draft.
It's the NFL draft.
Yeah, they write, if the Saban effect alone provides 10.8 picks over 3 seasons, the team itself must produce 7.2. That's an average of 2.4 picks per year. If a program hasn't been able to clear that relatively low bar since 2000, it probably lacks the infrastructure required for Saban to lift the team at the top. And yet, because of the early part of the decade or the century.
Thanks, Bo.
And even
Thanks,
a little
Bill.
Callahan, some Solich
Thanks,
even.
Frank.
Because 2000 starts with the 99 team.
Yeah, if they only would have gone back a decade or even 15 years.
See you later.
Nebraska's probably out, but Nebraska makes the cut, but K-State doesn't make the cut.
Texas Tech.
Oklahoma State doesn't make the cut.
Missouri
doesn't make the cut.
How about that?
Even Nick Saban's home state, West Virginia.
Arizona as well.
Then they look at proven potential.
And this was the last category.
Yeah.
It says, like the 5-star recruiting, the final category is simple and somewhat arbitrary. It's hard to think a team is capable of winning a national championship if it has never flashed championship potential. So their bar, Baker decided at least one AP top 10 finish since 1992, which Nebraska easily cleared that bar. Now, again, if you do the last decade, hell, if you do the last since 2002, if you do the last 23 years, Nebraska would not have cleared the bar.
No, they would not have cleared the
bar.
bar.
But it goes back further, and so they cleared the bar, which left 33 teams in the list. This one eliminated NC State and Pitt.
So I'm not going to list all the teams, but
should we list like the weird teams?
I would say Arizona State, Arkansas,
Stanford,
Iowa. By the way, makes a cut.
South Carolina,
Go Hawks,
Louisville,
North Carolina,
TCU,
UCLA, and
Virginia Tech,
Michigan State,
and Utah. They make the cut.
Yeah,
they did. Athletic did poll their own writers, just as a how they would have voted
of these teams that are on. How many of them would he have won a championship at? So, like, one voter apparently said he could have won a title at Iowa State or Indiana
or Duke.
Yeah.
By the way, and so there's 17 writers.
Yeah.
There were several that got unanimous, all 17. Nebraska, though, only got 12. So there are 5 of the 17 writers.
Haters.
Probably Mitch Sherman and then 4 others.
No, Mitch, why would you do that?
Who said that Nick Saban could not lead Nebraska to a national title, which puts them on par with Baylor, Texas Tech, and Virginia Tech.
One more person voted that he could at Wisconsin than Nebraska. If you think that he could have at Wisconsin, I don't know why you don't think he couldn't do the same thing at Nebraska. Also, one person didn't vote Miami, which means that person is an idiot. Who says he can't win a title at Miami? That could be a monster with somebody like him.
Good question.
Moron.
Good question.
Bad vote.
By the way, 10 people voted for Iowa.
I love this exercise. It's super
a fun exercise, and they put some numbers to it to try to give it some scientific, weight.
I think you and I, a lot of us in sports and college football media, have done this exact same thing. If he could go anywhere, could he have won a national championship? I love the math that they decided to put behind it. I thought that it was really, really interesting.
Do you think Nick Saban could have taken Nebraska
in his
to
prime?
National?
Oh God, yeah. Like at a certain point,
where's your cutoff
in terms of
team? Give me a school that.
Man, I mean, I'm scrolling through the list right now. Like, I think BYU is interesting. I think that'd be really hard though, just because of you have to convince players that they also have to do the 2-year. Where you walk around and knock on doors.
Yeah.
What's that called again? I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I would
but West Virginia is interesting. It's his hometown.
I think Oklahoma State and Missouri.
They got so close.
Nick Saban. The biggest problem with Missouri is that they couldn't get both ends of the state pulling in the same direction,
and he would be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Nick Saban in Missouri his prime.
To me, Missouri is a bigger sleeping tiger. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
Than like an Illinois.
Oh, 100%.
Schools that come from a big population state, good recruiting base that just have grossly underachieved.
And Missouri's had much, much more success, in the modern era than Illinois has.
Yes.
Missouri got very close to a national championship.
Quite frankly, we got to go to break because Robin's coming on.
Yeah.
Missouri should have been what Nebraska was.
Yeah, it's a very good argument.
I mean, look at the population in that state.
Yeah. Corey says he couldn't do it at Michigan State. Man, that is just, you miss the forest through the trees if you have that opinion. He was barely there. He was there for like 3 or 4 years, and then his last year was his best year.
And it was early in his career.
And then he moved on. Yes, like
we're talking prime Nick Saban.
Prime Nick Saban is Nick Saban, and thus players will go play for him at a discount, money above or below the table.